Hi everyone, and welcome to my full album review of Busta Rhymes' brand new project, Extinction Level Event 2, The Wrath of God. Yes, I got it right. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, and this here's the Headspace Podcast, the show where we break down the new hip-hop projects track by track, giving thoughts and opinions on every single song. And yo, today, what's up for debate? Why it's the brand new fire from Busta Rhymes. I assume it's fire. Basically, Extinction Level Event 2, The Wrath of God. Plug that keyword. I'm going to break down how it goes in a little bit, but first, some housekeeping. I make music myself. I just put out an album. I'd love to hear what you think of it. I've actually got a contest running. Also, all of that has links in description. So if you're down to check out some of that, let me know what you think. I do have music on this channel, and I'm curious. And I say that a little bit because somebody criticized me recently, not knowing I do this. Look at him talking about music, but doesn't even create anything. So I thought, let people know, / plug myself because it is the game. Also, if you do dig the format, the reviews, the channel in general, there is a Patreon down below. You can support us like that if that's something that you're down for. On that note, let's talk about this album. Let's get into how this review works. So here's what's up. I'll tell you a little bit about my day. I woke up and I said to myself, I can't talk about this album right away. Why? I hadn't heard part one. I know, it's 2020. I'm sitting here talking about a Busta Rhymes project like this, and I never even heard the first Extinction Level Event project. So I listened to it for the first time this morning. I jammed out to it. I had a great time. I really enjoyed the project. And you know what? Since we do the Classic Quest podcast, where we do the same kind of format, only classic albums and spend more time with the albums, we're going to talk about Extinction Level Event 1, the first project, over on Twitch live either tomorrow or the day after, the next couple of days when we film that episode, and then that'll appear on this channel. So if you're down for this review, you can also catch me and your lady friend Bonnie break it all down for the first album. Just feel the ride. Let's just run it through, because I think actually looking at the first album and comparing it and seeing how the sequel holds up is really important, and I can't actually make that distinction until I've done the review of the other project. On that note, I have not yet heard a single song off of Extinction Level Event 2. I just haven't heard one yet. That's how I'm going into these new album reviews. I'm going to listen to each track off camera when you can't see me, and then I'm going to come back and talk about it. I can't play the song because copyright. It's just what it is. I would like this video to stay up to the point where let's talk about that album cover over there, because if I don't, I violate copyright. Simple album cover. Doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I like the fact that there's a mask. It's kind of playing up on COVID. Ties into the album cover, almost like in this era, in this age that we're living in, God is striking back, right? With the disease and the way the world is kind of fucked up. I mean, I don't know what the contents of the album are like, but if you think about 2020, the fact that it's like with climate change, we've unlocked this escalating sense of natural disasters and conflicts, and just even COVID being what it is, it all feels like, in a sense, it's the wrath of God that's taking place here, which I think is super, super fascinating. And kind of it ties a little bit into the intro of the last album, because I just listened to it. So from the Extinction Level Event 1 intro, the way that little prophecy bit's kind of built up, it's kind of like we've moved along and now it's actually coming to fruition, maybe 20 years later instead of like a year later. That's fine though. So yeah, the cover's cool. It just kind of has a good branding. I like the variety of like poses that were done with this main cover theme across the videos when you go to the YouTube channel and you see how each track gets its own specific, like he's looking this way or that way or whatever. So that's cool. It's good branding, but I don't really care much for the cover. I love the title a lot more. I kind of got a little ahead of myself. I like to tell people also just my familiarity with each artist, because, you know, probably most of you clicking on this are big time Busta Rhymes fans and small time / have never heard of me behind that suit fans. I mean, for those of you who know who I am, you know that based on this channel, I probably have not listened to all that much Busta Rhymes in my life outside of singles. When it comes to singles, I've heard a whole lot because I was born in '87, so while Busta Rhymes was dominating in the early 2000s, everything that like came out was like, you know, stuff I consumed. But when it came to the album side of it and the earlier work, I did not understand the relevance this man had or how talented he was. And throughout the Classic Quest, our show on classic albums, we have touched on him throughout, I guess, just the different people he's worked with. Like even most recently, we did Raw Digga's first album. And just Busta Rhymes is all over that, and it's really interesting to just see him in that like light. We also did The Coming, which was really like a fantastic project. It really blew my mind to listen to, and just some of the early Tribe Called Quest stuff. And I guess as we go through hip hop history and like learn all these things, it's so interesting to just see a guy like Busta Rhymes in the midst of all this other stuff. And I know we got to cover more of his stuff, so we're going to do the first E.L.E. album. But yeah, it just has me very excited for this project. Like, it's a big piece of history almost. Like, the first album was really good to me. And Busta Rhymes is like culturally significant. Now, here's what I know going into it. A lot of the heads I know, as in the hip-hop heads, are feeling the album. According to my Facebook, what I done seen on Twitter, people are liking it. People are not disappointed. So maybe that set my expectations a little high. The other thing is Busta Rhymes stopped being fat. Like, he'd gotten kind of big. And so the other day we looked it up because we were like watching the music videos off the Raw Digga album, and Busta Rhymes is in pristine physical condition, like a model hot. I'm not trying to like say anything. I'm just saying objectively, like ripped. And then you see Busta Rhymes in like, later on times, and when he let himself go a bit and he got a little big. And I know I'm a big guy, but I also lost a lot of weight in the last year. And when I saw that Busta Rhymes specifically put out a post showing the before and after of his health goals and said, did y'all really think I'm going to record this like sequel to the classic without getting in like proper shape to give you the best I can be? And then he fucking has like this dad bod now of like fucking muscle / I like to eat. And it's just really inspiring. So kudos to Busta Rhymes for his fucking incredible accomplishments with weight loss. And as a person who has dropped about 80 pounds in the last year, I gained a little bit back. So we'll call it 70 pounds in the last year safely. I know what that does to breath capacity and your ability to use your voice. And so it made me really get fucking excited, because it means Busta Rhymes, just without hearing a single song on this album yet, it means I know Busta Rhymes is going to be able to breathe in the kind of ways to do some of that crazier shit where maybe songs like Twerk It were not necessarily demonstrating some of the more crazy shit that Busta Rhymes is known for. So that's my expectations and stuff going into it. You may have found this kind of boring. That's why I put the track list description down below, and I guess y'all are just kind of used to looking for chapters and stuff now. So I hope y'all are interested in what I got to say. Either way, I'm going to do it. Let's start with the E.L.E. intro. Bruh. Holy shit. Oh my god. That is intro of the year. Wow. I'm this is raw. This is I just hit pause. There's a lot to unpack in this, as my brain is first of all 5 on 5. Okay, it's a 5 on 5. This is one of those introductions that it's 7 minutes and change, and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. This look on my face was fucking dumb. Wow, there's a lot of clever. This is one of those ones where I will not be able to do full justice for how much is packed into here, but I think I caught enough to be able to show y'all that there is a lot here. Rewind that motherfucker and play it again. First of all, I have a lot of appreciation for listening to the first project, because that introduction really does the justice, because it's a sequel album, right? And my first thought was, how is this going to hold up as a sequel? Haven't heard the tone and the understanding of the, satirical perception of how we've treated the world and our environments and everything that are explored in the themes of the first project, and I guess in the overarchingness of it. I haven't dug that deep. But to see that is what this introduction does here, it's fucking amazing. It's clever. Genesis chapter 11 verses 1 through 9. Y'all probably off the top of your head don't know what the fuck that is. So I googled it real quick while I'm listening. Tower of Babel. It's when the Tower of Babel falls. That's some shit, right? I don't fully remember the story, but I believe it has to do with the world being divided and trying to do some shit. And after that, unification is broken and languages and divisiveness takes place. I think that's the end result of the Tower of Babel. So the first thing is an allusion to something you have to go Google. But if you Google it, you're rewarded with a bunch of shit, right? Thousands of years before Christ, Tyrant, Nimrod, Gilgamesh, and Shinar enslaved the first empire. Fucking fascinating. We're dropping into history. Look, I'm not going to go that deep into the history lessons behind it, but allow me to be clear. It's interesting that he's giving you more shit to look into and Google, and I have a top level understanding. He's like, look, the fact is, this Bible shit isn't even where it started, because Gilgamesh is like something that the Bible was based on historically, right? So like right off the jump, oh boy, I don't know. I'm really excited. Okay, I'm really fucking excited for this project. One world language, one world religion, one world order. Like I just said about the Tower of Babel reference and the divisionness, and that's the fact that he's tying into this shit. It's so interesting because currently there is this effort to push towards globalization and all this other stuff happening in the world, etc. Okay, so the whole intro part runs through that prophetic bit, and it's brilliant, and I'm not going to spoil the rest of it. I'm going to try to hold back on going bar by bar for the sake of time. It's just brilliant. It has all of the weird voice effects from the beginning. And it goes as deep, right? As deep as to be like the daddy, what's it gonna be like part that he jacked from, like, not jacked, but like, you know, brought from the first one over here. And then it's just beautiful. A new world order is here. Arrogance over God means annihilation. Kind of is what we feel like we're doing in a lot of ways with our culture and our society, is that we are bigger and better than God or nature. And it doesn't necessarily mean God in the sense of Christianity. I'm going to assume it has that sense because of how it arcs, but God is a big word, right? And I love how they change. We're going to get back to God in a second, but God is a big word. And then the song kind of kicks in and Chris rocks there, which is great. And he does this countdown, and the countdown's kind of goofy, but it's such a hype buildup because it reminds me of how Busta Rhymes would do those introductions for almost other people on classic albums back in the day. And I feel like it's cool to take somebody like Chris Rock and just hype up the project, and the way it just ends like, yo, you might die today, and guess what, you lucky motherfucker, the last thing you're gonna hear is Busta. That's just, it was amazing. It was very well done, and it fit the kind of gloomy shit. And then I love the whole beginning part, because Busta Rhymes basically, like, as dude who referred to himself as God, let me demonstrate it. If you don't get it at first, revisit it later, but in the meantime, and then he moves on. So that was clever to me, because a younger me would have thought that was an arrogant ass lyric, but that younger me didn't know shit all about Nation of Islam and 5% mentality and a bunch of other stuff. So with that context of knowing what God means through that coded interpretation, you know, black man of knowledge and empowering, look, my interpretation might be trash, okay? I'm sorry if I'm not saying the words right. I'm trying to demonstrate that I do understand what he means within the level of understanding I have, and I hope that that's enough to connect with y'all. But it made that whole thing really powerful, you know, with science to spark the mind. So when that reminds me of all of the early shit where science is a reflection of, you know, self-empowerment and just kind of following a lot of those Nation of Islam bars, and to preach the realities of, like, black history, for lack of a better term, or the truths of the world, just like facts, to use the rhyme forms to teach real facts and science and shit, like a lot of the early cats did, you know, the cats Busta Rhymes would have grown up with, you know, back in the day. It's brilliant to me, like, because I've listened to a lot of classic albums now and taken the time to, like, study hip-hop history a bit, everything he's saying in this introduction is really hitting me in a really cool way that just has me hyped up. And he flows through this whole verse, and I love the fact that, like, some people might identify him as conspiracy theorists, and he's tried to tell people about the truth for so long, and he's tried to, like, let people know that he's been, like, you know, paying attention. He even dropped the first album, and, you know, people may have come at him, but, like, I remember just having a conversation earlier today where I was saying, yo, as from what I've seen in, like, reviews and shit of the first part of this album, people really did kind of take him kind of conspiracy theorist, a little cuckoo and crazy. But what's nuts is a lot of those conspiracy theorists from back in the day turned out to be right after, like, all of these fucking big old government leaks and stuff. So now it's almost like 22 years has gone by, and Busta Rhymes has had all this time to, like, learn, you know, watch that movie or whatever. I think he's able to watch, like, the movies and get inspired by these disaster scenarios, and he's seeing these patterns repeat, and he's able to now, in a position of more strength, I would say, and a little more knowledge, actually come through and make the part 2, the sequel that's more relevant to this world, but based in the same understanding of everything back in the day, to almost take his platform of hip hop and create this whole new project to like share it all. Like, it's 7 minutes, this introduction. There's actually a lot in it. And I thought that was really incredible. Then to go to Rakim and get him to come through and be like, yo, it's even bigger than Busta Rhymes. I tried to tell y'all this shit way back in the day. It just hit me really strong. Like, that was really cool too, man. And he just like, you know, I tried to warn him with 7 Seal, the world is wounded, it may never heal. Even Mother Nature's getting ill, it's getting real. When millions get killed with that deadly weather spill. So he's basically dropping environmental bars and just like, be cautious of how we treat the whole world and shit. But with that smooth ass Rakim flow, it's just masterful. The production on this whole track is pretty fucking incredible. I mean, I haven't talked a lot about it, but it's an experience. It's alive. It keeps going. And it's produced by Knots and Busta Rhymes. Yo, Knots is a name I keep seeing a lot. Knots is fucking cool. I didn't really know who he was until like a few weeks ago, but I got to hear some new Knots stuff that was produced recently, and his production is pretty fucking pristine. Anyway, I guess I'm just really excited. There's so much about this album that's so cool. The outro is fucking sick too, and I like the "Whose world is this" bit that got put on there too, because it's even again showing some of the influences that came in and perspective. Like, yo, get on that empowerment vibe. Like, all of these different emotions and ideas and shit are flowing into this one little introduction that cinematically goes through. Busta Rhymes is just calm and like pensive almost in his delivery. It's so interesting. Like, it just hits so hard by the end. But okay, y'all get it, all right? This is a 5 on 5. I think I rambled long and hard about all the things that excited me on one listen to this track, okay? I heard it one time and I'm that hyped up. I don't know if the rest of the album is gonna hold it like this, but the next track isn't 7 minutes long, so it'll probably be a little quicker to go through. Why don't we talk about the Purge? So at first I was like, oh, I forgot to comment on how Busta Rhymes put this funny little, like, the following is gonna have explicit language right after saying fuck a bunch of times. That's goofy. I didn't realize that would be relevant for the subject matter of this track, thus making it twice as brilliant as I originally thought, because I thought at first it was funny. Haha, Busta Rhymes was being offensive, and then he put like an explicit content warning. But that's crazy, because that whole beginning of the album apparently was not explicit content based on what we got next. And I love this, okay? I want y'all to know that I am smitten with this second track, and I'm giving it a 5 on 5 on one listen, so don't take any of my grades seriously. I might change them once my excitement fades and the actual sonic elements matter more to me past my excitement. But this is strong, right? So we get the whole fucking, basically a summary of, I tried to warn y'all shit was gonna go to hell, and shit went to hell. And then you don't know where he's going to go with it. When people drop concept albums and things like that, it's bold a lot, right? Is it just going to be flexing bars? No, that's not what Busta Rhymes did here. Sorry, country, I know you don't really want this, but till we get some justice, we fucking every city up. The rest of the track flows through in this calm, composed delivery as he basically says, this is us, the black people, is what I'm taking from it. Or the people who are oppressed, the people who have been attacked and systemically oppressed. My language is sucking here, but y'all get the point. For so long, we're done. This is it. We're fighting back. This is what's happening. Get used to it. We are tired of your shit. And that's the pulse of this, you know? Like, you see them cities burning like chimneys. You better really know it's us. The clock was finally winding down. Your time was really just to feel the wrath of God. And then it adds this extra context to the wrath of God, the album title. This is the wrath of God being a black man, right? So all of a sudden, the album title means more to me than I thought before. Holy shit. Layers. Oh my gosh, this is dope. So yeah, that's what's going on. This is just a tone setter. So now that like we've gotten like the introduction linking the two albums, it goes into, this is like actual shit that's happening right now. This is the pulse that we're tapping into, and the calm production from Swizz Beatz and the other one, as it was the second one, basically it just is this tone. It's heavy. It feels like atmospherically strong. This is some shit. This is gonna be a long review, I think, because it looks like we're almost at 30 minutes of raw recording. I mean, that means without the songs taking us. We're about 20 minutes in, and I've only done 2 songs, but 5 on 5. A lot more songs to go. Maybe it's 3 parts this review. Who fucking knows? But strap yourself down. We getting in. This is a very different song. Sonically, that rhythm is weird. This is like, I feel like Busta Rhymes flexing. I still got that crazy shit. Like that out there, random, rhythmically speaking. Like, I just love his delivery on this. I love the way he does it. Like, I love the fucking weird tone of voice he takes. Like, he has like 4 or 5 voices that he employs throughout the different verses in this track. And the track just splits. Like, one of the sides is a Pete Rock production and the other side is a J Dilla production. So it's just fucking stellar. And it's kind of got like 2 tones. Like, the first tone feels kind of solemn and heavy. Like, don't fuck with me. Almost like it's the past, right? Like, there's the sense of like darkness, anxiety built into it. Like, if you come at me, I'm gonna fuck you up kind of vibes rolling through it. But it's just so strong, man. I love it. I like, my favorite part of this track actually is let me see if I can find the lyrics real quick. And if you think you're listening to the wrong song, bing bong pow. And I'm just like, that's fucking hilarious. Honestly, like, oh, you think you're in the wrong place? Like, yo, you think that this doesn't belong on this album or whatever? Fuck you. You're wrong. I like that. I just feel like there's some braggadocious cockiness to that, but still it fits, right? Because I feel like it's tapping into a bit of the past, the anxiety of the people, the jealousy, the envy. Now we've like looked at the system. Now we're looking a little bit on the other side of the situation. So because of all of the tension that's going on, like, you have to be pristine. You have to be at your tip-top shape. You have to be coming with the best skills, I guess, or be willing to defend yourself. So strap yourself down, you know? And that's a cool, like, just that idea, strap yourself down, because it could be like with weaponry or whatever. It could be preparations for the hard time that is coming. And then you look at that just kind of tense state that he delivers. But I feel like after all of this, he's like, I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Oh, I like the way he flips his voice and that we could never do it wrong. I sell it. And then he's like, fuck around, wanna play a little game. And it just gets all smooth with his voice. It's so cool to me. Technically, it's just like from a technique perspective, it's just so strong. Then he does like basically the same, like, kind of starting the biggity blah kind of feel to it, and goes in a more positive direction. I find just a little stronger. Like, he's still dope with it, he's still killing it, but it feels like more uplifting. Feels like the last one was the past and he still got it today in the present, and it's very similar, the vibe that we should expect, only to have like a better tone. And I don't know, he's still here, he's still rallying. There's still the real, there's still the fake, but maybe I'm just reading too much into things, but I felt like there was a bit of a tone shift, and this was more like uplifting. Less chaos, less darkness, more established, more I am where I am, and now I'm going to use that shit to come. But then there's still things to be the same, like he still ties in, like, you know, police officers angry when we show up, still tying it into the main central idea of chaos and the angriness. But if we're thinking about anger, jealousy is a part of anger. And I think the fact that Busta Rhymes can do these crazy, ridiculous, weird flows that like nobody else can touch, because we can all try to be complicated, but we can't be complicated like Busta Rhymes, all right? That's just the facet of the situation. You can hear I can talk very quickly. I can't do what Busta Rhymes can bring to a table. He's so pristine with his shit, no matter how much I may want to one day have the kind of crazy energy of a Busta Rhymes. Anyway, this track, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I think it's really interesting to listen to. I don't know what else I can say about it. I think it really shows that more braggadocious tough side, which is a cool thing to insert into a dense album. But at the same time, I feel like it's on theme because it is addressing a topic related to the wrath of God in the context of how he's now framed that for this album. This is very clever. This is very well written. Let's move on to Czar. I feel like this one's still on theme. Busta Rhymes is mad. He's almost like looking like, yo, I am the boss. And I like the Chris Rock intro. Because again, like, this is Chris Rock, a OG who's been around everybody and everything. Like, he was like having hits back in like 2000 kind of thing. So I feel like just having a guy like Chris Rock be the dude that's like co-signing you, it's an interesting flex, because not a lot of people could get Chris Rock to show up and say, you're the baddest guy ever. And then it took me a quick second to understand this shit. This is basically Busta Rhymes taking on that boss role. Like, reminding people who Busta Rhymes is and where he comes from, right? And that he is able to walk in and do exactly what these motherfuckers are doing, but do it Busta Rhymes style. And I believe that's the point of the song. it's got very boss lyrics, and also tapping into that modern shit. Like, now I'm back with the coke, I'll make you all sniff it up, and skirt skirt in the wraith, watch me trove keo drift it up. Is that my favorite like set of bars on the album? Nah, but it's interesting to watch him be so willing to come through and tap into the modern lexicon and show that even with the current language of today and the current flows of shit, he's still able to come through and destroy it. And I feel like everything about this fucking song is just strong and hard hitting. I did not watch the music video, by the way, because that's not what this is. This is for album listening. Maybe if you guys want to see me do music videos for this album thing, give me 1,533 likes on this video and we'll make that happen. I'm just having fun with that because people beg for likes and I think that's goofy. But yeah, in general, this has a great flow, a great rhythm. I like that he's not just reliant on ridiculously fast tactics like a lot of people might think is the most impressive. I think the way he manages to encompass every single individual line into this own package and box that he like fits into the beat. And while you listen to them together, they all like flow, but you can almost see the little incisions of his vocals between where he cuts up the flow to make everything line proper. And when you look at it like that, like Busta Rhymes is intricate with the way he does his delivery, and I think this song really exemplifies that. It's not my favorite on the writing front. It's good. It's really strong. It's more his delivery and the strength of everything. Like when he comes through heavy like metal like Metallica, Now Witness the Massacre. That's a great bar for this track because he really is like, I feel like I'm getting punched. I feel like I'm getting hit. Like Busta Rhymes is somebody to submit to. In general, I like the chorus. I think it was really cool. I think overall the vibe on this is fun. I have maybe less commentary, but I don't want to take away from the quality of the track. So far, I feel like as I'm listening to this, the songs are showcasing crazy good versatility. The production is changing. It's different. This one is produced by Rock Wilder. It's pretty cool. Now, it says featuring M.O.P, and I don't know. Okay, so I know that it's Lil Fame going the O's on this according to Genius, but I don't know where else is the feature. Did the man really get like a featured for like a single word that got repeated a lot? Because most people won't even bother to like add that to like writing credit. Well, I mean in the credit, sure, but like nobody gets that for a single word. That's just some shit that nobody would feature. So the fact that Busta Rhymes did that, because I think it's a feature if you're using the man's word, that's really interesting. I just wanted to know what y'all thought about that. But Chris Rock is not featured on this one, even though he's featured on the introduction. Oh, the introduction, I didn't say it. Is it not crazy that it's Chris Rock, Pete Rock, and Rakim? You see rocks? There's rocks everywhere on that introduction. I just forgot to say it there. Hopefully people are still listening at this point. I really enjoyed this tune. I'm going to go ahead, though, and give it a 4.25. It's not as, like, knock me out the park impressive as some of the other stuff was from a content or whatever, or maybe the new car smell of the album is starting to wear off a little bit. That's entirely possible, too. It is fresh reactions we're all getting. Still, I like it. I like it cool. Apparently, it samples Anti-Up by M.O.P., and that's how it's being credited. Maybe that's where the feature's from. I like that. I like the way that Busta Rhymes called it a feature. That's real cool of him, is all I'm trying to say. Anyway, I don't have a lot more to say on this one, so y'all hopefully aren't thinking that I'm just out of my mind. Okay, so like Past the Crevassier Part 2 might just be one of those tracks that like I guess people my age are just gonna fucking vibe to. Like, I don't know, that comes on anywhere at any party, and I turn into that dumbass white kid that just wants to fucking dance when he knows he can't. Like, how could you not? It's such a banger. Like, drop this hand, big boy, wanna bounce, bounce, don't it? Anyway, I just fucking love that shit. It's a good song. I think the back and forth, this isn't really a review of Pastor Crevassier Part 2, but I love the fact that it's sampled on here in this chorus. It's really fun. Also, just the it's driving, like that part there, I know I can't sing, but that part was amazing. This throwback chorus, this throwback beat, this throwback fucking everything, right? He's flexing here. This is what Busta Rhymes is doing. So that beat is so like basic break beat, right? Like basic from history, like back in the origin days, and he takes that and he makes it all fresh. So overall, we got this nice, modern, crisp sounding use of it, right? Using these old samples from back in the day. Meanwhile, on the verses, he's kind of flexing like, I'm the shit, you know? I'm back. I'm doing my crazy Busta Rhymes stuff. I'm just crushing it. And it's again from the flows, the way he's riding his beat, the way he exaggerates and stretches certain syllables, like, oh no, the gon' flip, you know, just like fast to slow to this crazy composition. Like, it's always smitten me. Busta Rhymes has always been, in my opinion, one of the greatest when it comes to this shit. Like, when it comes to doing karaoke, Busta Rhymes is probably the one I think has been the hardest I've ever had to map out and fully understand. Like, I would say his flows are just crazy interesting. I like him a lot. What can I say? I like the fact that it's like the conglomerate is coming. We about to run through it. Like, you know, shouting out his team, his squad. Moving into that old school chorus, almost like this whole first verse is like flowing back in time, like he's about to come through or whatever. And then in the second verse, it just keeps it running. I don't think he adds a lot here. I know somewhere in the track, I don't remember where it is. So yeah, when he goes, tell me, can you not do the shit that'll make the game proud? You know, they just, a lot of you guys are trash. A lot of you guys make boring stuff. Why can't you make interesting, compelling albums again? I mean, it feels like Busta Rhymes is showing through the way he's rhyming that he is that kind of guy, and he's proving it, and he's basically challenging the whole industry. Come on, do something interesting. Like, look what I just did. I made an old school sound fresh. I like all the old school styles, and I made it sound fresh in 2020. Can you do that? I can do that. Can you do that? I can do what you do. Can you do what I do? And I feel like that's a lot of what he's trying to do with this track, and it's really cool. And then just reminding them that he is also the guy who wrote Pastor Cavassier Part 2, right? Like, come on. That is one of the most banging, like, turn-up songs ever. Right? Like, you just say that, and you don't even have to write the fact that you could do a turn-up track, because you just say that and you know it's facts. That's a really cool flex. I'm giving this a 4.5 on 5. Truly enjoyable experience. Why don't we move along then? Just before we move on, the way it ends with "Don't this shit make a wanna," and then it flows into the next song, which I haven't heard yet. It's just a cool way, because it kind of makes the album feel more like a continual movie experience rather than individual songs. And I love the flowability of the album that I've heard so far. Some albums are like track. Nah, this is an experience where, like, it's basically like you're listening to a movie in terms of the grandiosity of it. And I think the versatility so far is killing it. And I'm down to go another 17 tracks, because there's still that much music left to listen to. E.L.E. 2, The Wrath of God, is next. Yo, because I just like heard the end of the track. What a way to end it, with like the shout out to Busta Rhymes from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I don't say that patronizingly. I just, commonly hear words like that associated with his name. So in my efforts to be respectful, I repeat the rhetoric I've heard. But Minister Louis Farrakhan does the intro, and I find that man fascinating. I recognize why a lot of white people don't like him, but I just find that he has this message that has a lot of truth in it. Like, just pointing out that whether or not you agree with Trump, the idea that the fact that Trump can say "Make America Great Again" is a health test to how not great America is. The fact that there are people who would choose death rather than servitude to the country is, again, fascinating. And I don't know, he really charges it up. I think it's a really interesting introduction. I mean, it shows, I guess, Busta Rhymes is clearly influenced or inspired by, in some ways, the Nation of Islam, where I almost feel like the name itself is going to just turn people away rather than maybe consider how people got. Like, I had a conversation with somebody, and they were like, basically, in their experience, they're, as a Jewish person, they're just like, anti-Semitic at like this level because of all the various instances of things where it may come off that way. But I've always taken a different approach with the way I see it, because I am Jewish myself. It's more like I can kind of empathize with how complicated it is to be black in America right now and how fucked up it is. And then I read stuff like the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I tried to read a lot of different things now and learn and expand my understanding of why there's a Nation of Islam. Like, why is there one? Why does this thing exist? And I really like what he had to say. I thought it was just a really strong introduction that kind of shows that the world is not necessarily there. But I also like the part where you can see Mr. Farrakhan being like, yo, God has to be backing me, or there's no way I could get away with the shit I'm saying. That's kind of what he's like. There's no way. And I'm like, that's an interesting point. And a lot of guys I respect, like Carey and a few others, like really do follow him and are really inspired by him. And they preach some of these incredible ethics of respect and stuff. So all of the people I know that are inspired by Minister Louis Farrakhan tend to preach really good, positive messages, even if Minister Farrakhan manages to piss off a lot of people with the specific verbiage he chooses to use. But protest is not meant to be kind. It is not meant to be non-disruptive. And sometimes you need to inflame in order to get people to even pay attention a little bit. So, I mean, I would certainly not have any idea who he is if I didn't really have a curiosity as to why white people are devils. Like, you have to really, like, you know, maybe want to be curious to go down that rabbit hole at some point. It's really, y'all can Google it if you're a white person and you want to know. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, but I really like what he did with that introduction. And it's also like humbling. It's almost like adding into it, like, look, Busta Rhymes is just a person who's been inspired by this flow from God of information and knowledge. And this whole album is just Busta Rhymes as like a vessel and vehicle to bring you some truth in the midst of the chaos. And his verse is, again, reiterating on that main album theme. Only now, God, okay, so like at first, God is like a black man. And then there's a bit of like the last few tracks have almost been rappers, you know, skill and ego and things like that were like the focus of a lot of it. And now God is more God up above, and Busta Rhymes is here to deliver the message of the wrath of God coming, which could be manifested in a lot of the things we're seeing take place in this world. And a lot of it is colonialization and the white systems of like whatever, like there's a lot of money put into an oil industry when hemp would have been a fantastic alternative for things like plastic. And y'all can follow the dollars and y'all know all the things. Who am I preaching to? You know, like that's not really it. I just think it's brilliant. I think it's like Busta Rhymes is like, listen, I'm just doing this as a vessel of God. How are you going to stop it? We are here to bring a message forth. But yo, everything he said so far to me feels like it's really tapped into a lot of shit that's actually happening. Like this sounds like an older person, as in past the age of 40, proper fatherly age, shedding fatherly wisdom about the shit he's learned in the world in a cohesive way. I'm really, really into this. This is I'm going to give it a 4.5. It's really a powerful experience, and I hope that it kind of pivots the album, and we're going to get this in like chapters and chunks. That'll be really, really interesting to me anyway. Let's move into Slow Flow. Okay, that second verse is clever. I mean, first of all, let's talk about the Old Dirty Bastard feature. From what Genius is telling me, and I'm going to just trust it because I haven't done the ODB album yet, this is from his verse on Brooklyn Zoo, released in 1995. And then, yeah, it just sounds really dope. I love the way he sounds on this chorus. I love the way he sounds on that intro. I don't know if that intro bit is unreleased. I heard there was maybe some unreleased ODB on it. Either way, I like it. I thought that was cool. I thought it was strong. ODB just sets it up like some smooth rhymes, you know, like kind of like, yo, I can't be doing all the crazy shit all the time. I gotta have some versatility in my style. And then what does Busta Rhymes proceed to do on this track? He drops that constant cadence, where the fuck does he breathe, kind of single flow. Like what I mean is, he doesn't really stop until like some ad-libs almost like halfway through the verse. Just this shit get cataclysmic, how I mastered the wicked division is spitting past what you wishing is super surpassing your vision, and whatever you think in the chorus best is sicking to make him gagging when I shit in type of flow. See the fatness and back and I'm stacking them up, how I'm heating. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just keeps going constant, but this perfect cadence, perfect timing. I skipped the word, right? So it sounded like there was a gap. It wasn't. He says a word I can't say. I don't think I should be able to say it. I just don't. It's just, you skip it. It's easy. Anyway, I just think overall it's beautiful. The way he runs this verse is amazing sounding like, and simultaneously it's just something where he's a game showing his prominence. He's back. He's got the skills. He's returning. He's giving the world something they need. So he's again being an emissary. And in this case, it's more about like the hip hop and the strong shit. And I like the part when he's like, see what I make the DJ do to the fader, and it kind of fades and it sounds really cool. But I think he does a lot more at the second verse when he's like, so peep the way I come out and weed him out beyond a reasonable doubt. And at first you don't catch it, but then you hear the next one where it's like, and clear the lane and deliver the Illmatic. And you're like, okay. So what he's trying trying to do with this album is show you that he knows in the first verse, he understands all of the elements of what it is to be and bring a classic. And then he's showing you all sorts of just sources of classics that inspire, and he aspires to have this album, the Extinction Level Event 2, placed next to. So Midnight Marauders, Life After Death. And then I love it when it goes scratching and fiending, needing a detox, right? Because that's when it got fucking super clever to me. Because they're also, I'm pretty sure, in chronological order. I might be wrong about it, but I'm pretty sure these are, and if I am, okay. But no, because it's only Built for Cuban Links comes later on. I was wrong. See, sometimes in real time, you see my brain flying. That's what this is. But I like the, the Cuban Link and the American Most Wanted lines. That's super cool. And then just at the end, the new Jacks, they need that Carter 5. So the fact that he's able to kind of bring that detox line where it's referencing how people are craving this album that never came, in a sense, that's what he's trying to do here, is give them that void, fill that ancient classic that never came. But simultaneously, he understands the current era of it, so he can tap into the kind of energies of something like a Carter 5. And all of these are just classic era projects, at least in prestige, whether or not you agree that they're classics. I recognized every album he mentioned. Therefore, I mean, like, to me at least, it's pretty cool. I didn't really say them all, but I recognize them all as I listen. I really like this song. This is another 4.5. This is another one right up there with the fucking, just skill, diversity, amazing production, just really, really fucking amazing. Who is it by? Knots. No shit. Knots is fucking really good. Knots is a name that has come up a lot in my life recently. He's fucking talented. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to try and interview that dude one day. If you guys know Knots, and I know maybe a couple people do, somebody could link me to him. I want to talk to that guy. His production's pretty cool. Maybe I should talk to producers more. Anyway, 4.5. Brilliant track. This is going to be a long review. Y'all can ride it out with me. You listen to this album with Busta. Fucking geek out with me. Don't go. Okay. I think, like, Chris Rock outro kind of ties the track together. Again, Chris Rock's not featured here, but he was featured on the first intro, so that's weird. Why is that? Even on Spotify, can we just tangent? Half the tracks that have features have like in the song title, and half of them don't, and I can't figure out for the life of me what the fucking difference is. Is it like... Because, like, Q-Tip actually did a feature, and M.O.P was a sample. So, like, there's no fucking consistency. Neither of those have featured in the song titles. But, you know what? I'm just going to get back to this song review. Sometimes you just get caught up on these little tangential details. But I want to know if y'all care about that. That's what this is, too. So the first verse has Busta Rhymes taking this very aggressive tone, by the way, where he's, like, almost kind of salty. Like, yo, I'm the best. I'm the, like, fucking guy. I've done all this shit. I've always been laying it down. I'm really proper. And let's be real. The more I look into Busta Rhymes, he's way more impressive and should be in that GOAT talk way more than he should be. I just think that Young Money stint really ruined his image to a lot of us. Like, it really made him not look good. Because that was, like, the only exposure maybe some people had for a little bit. And I don't know. That shit wasn't fire to me. To me, y'all may have really liked it. But when I really went back and started thinking about his significance and the people he fucked with, and I guess more of what he represents, he's actually pretty fire. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. So I can kind of get where he's coming from. Like, I also like that Leaders of the Newest shit, because it's kind of like Leaders of the New School, or that group he was affiliated with once upon a time. And that was really cool. So I get it. He's just fucking, like, blessed, but he has, like, this salty, like, I'm the shit, and, like, you can almost feel like people don't recognize him. And then I like how, he has more of that battle-esque kind of attitude with this slow, kind of cocky flow to it. Like, see how we kill him with the slow flow? And we got the game in a chokehold where I'm going, you won't go. I'm leaving the game, they begging, don't go. See how we hit these guys like the last time, Like, I like the energy there. Like, Busta's like, okay, I'm back in here. I'm slapping it up again. It's not necessarily profound, but the way he spits it and the overall impact it had on me was pretty high is what I'm trying to say. But then Q-Tip's verse got me all quizzical. Like, man basically is like, you know what, Busta? Here's the thing. I recognize how great you are. I'm from the same era. I'm from back in the day. Life is kind of circumstantial. And, things are all in context. And let's be relative with it. Let's have some better understanding of things and all of that good stuff. Kind of like, let's instead of being angry and negative. Let's go back to the old days, how we used to handle shit with rhymes and how we used to go through whatever and try to earn the respect of people. Why don't you come through and basically rap your ass off and show it through your skill that you're the best, is kind of what I took from that. And then you have Chris Rock at the end, who kind of like ties why this is all being said, where he's like, yo, people don't want to follow Busta Rhymes. Like, everybody out there wants to talk about whatever. Even though Mans is basically like this legacy situation, even though Mans is all like, has so much talent, he's dropped a lot of wisdom, a lot of powerful bars, people don't want to follow him. So in this sense, this track is like, and I might be wrong, but Busta Rhymes is salty. Q-Tip is like, come on, bro, just rap it out. Just rap, bro. Just remember the old days. And then Chris Rock is like, and this is why this song came to be. I like it. 4.5. It's just fucking enjoyable for me. Anyway, I think we can just move on to Boomp. I have no fucking idea what that song was about. I liked it. I liked listening to it. I thought the chorus was cool. I thought the way it flowed. Like, it's going to be like earwormy almost. This, you had to try to pin it on me. Like, that's just going to get stuck in your head, you know. It's really got that element to it. I feel like this is the slow, crazy Busta. Like, he's not going breakneck speed, like, oh my gosh, breaking neck type shit. But he's taking the complex flows of that style he does and slowing it down. And I like that. I think that takes a lot of precision and control to pull off as eloquently as he does. And I was noticing how clear he is. I'm not always the clearest when I rap. I would like to pretend I'm amazing like Busta Rhymes, but I'm not able to always be as clear as he is. And that's really impressive to me. So that's probably like why he had to lose weight, was to work on the clarity. Because I'm telling you straight up, the fatter you are, the harder it is to be clear. Anyway, lyrically, it's flossy. I feel like he has a lot going for him. He knows he's king shit. There's a lot of like big bars, like, you know, in terms of Buju Banton or King Kong or Kunta Kinte, where like you get the sense of like strength and power and king shit and the overall, I'm rich, like I have $1 million on me, like just what I wear, what I'm at, like that vibe, that flexy, flossy, smooth. I guess this is for that materialism crowd maybe. Like, I can't figure out or wrap my head around who this is for. I know it's not for me because it's not really connecting with me in any way. I don't get content-wise how it fits on the album. I get how it fits, I guess, in the sense of Busta Rhymes doing the track. It sounds dope. Maybe somebody could explain the relevance of it to me, because it's lost on me at this moment. And even if I listen to this 5 more times, I'm just not going to get it. I can just tell you straight up. So that's where y'all beautiful folk out there watching are there. I'm going to give it a 4.25 because while I respect it, I don't know. It's really talented, but again, I don't fully connect with it. And so it's harder for me to like just feel as excited. And a lot of the music experience to me is like that. What you're excited for, what you can connect with is going to end up getting a higher grade than stuff that's just out of the realms of empathy. Anyway, I think what I just said is true indeed. Yo, DJ Premier did some excellent production on this, in my opinion. It's smooth, it's engaging, it just captivates. It's fucking dope. It's real cool. I liked it. And I do feel that Busta Rhymes and DJ Premier on this track are creating scripts for people that could be studying how to make a timeless banger-esque feeling sound, because this is just, again, dope. Like, it just has that, like, it's like one long verse with a little break in the middle. And it just feels like Busta Rhymes saying a bunch of crazy shit and doing it well. And again, being braggadocious, but in a clever and creative way. Like when he goes, we got the script for you to learn from. Everybody get off where I shoot my sperm from. Because most people in the game would just be like, get off my dick. Like, you know, literally J. Cole has a song called Get Off My Dick. Busta Rhymes is going to say, get off where I shoot my sperm from. Because that's just the way he is, you know? And the way he ends this, then I leave dead and stinking worser than Dookie. Because that's true, man. Decomposing bodies, as I understand it, smell worse than Dookie. So it's just fun. I just like the overall fun airiness of the way he's braggadociously willing to go through and be himself and kill it the way he's been doing it. The flow is just as fun to listen to. I guess as the album review goes on, I don't want to be like too redundant and kind of keep commenting. He's just killing it. There's not as much new to bring up on this, in my opinion. It's just killing it though. It's just amazing bars. It's flossy. It's fun. It's just got like this airy cockiness to it that just makes me feel elated. So I'm giving this one another 4.5. Let's move along then to the next track on this, Master Fard Muhammad. I feel like Chris Rock's parts on this album are so, I don't know if they're bizarre or not. It's such a, like, at this point I'm like, Chris, you're really pushing this thing. Like, am I just wrong? Is like, I didn't know that Busta Rhymes was so like influential in like the underground or whatever. Like, is that what it is? Like, Busta Rhymes is really that tiered of like influence? And I don't know. I sincerely don't know, because he's not like a name that just comes up in any of the conversations. And perhaps that's what Chris Rock is trying to convey there at the end with this, because Busta Rhymes is this boss figure. And I'm going to say that because, look, I've noticed this trend. People bring Rick Ross on their albums when they want that I'm a Boss song. And they always have that jazzy, slower beat. And then Rick Ross does the Rick Ross thing. And the more I hear the Rick Ross thing, the more I like the Rick Ross thing. He really does sell boss shit. Like, we're talking corporate executive, but like straight out of a movie fantasy. Not like actual corporate executive, more like what I feel TV thinks a corporate executive is. Cause like, whatever. He's good though. I've really like, it's just like, have mercy for the spirit still praying for me. Time's hard, so forgive me if I smell funny. Sleeping in cars would be real, but no hotel money. Louis Vuitton, you get it just cause your man want it. Like, there's like an actual sense of like, as he gets older and farther along with his career, like, I just find his lyrics get better. His storytelling is more vivid. His ambient painting is powerful because it starts off with that grittiness and it flows into like, you know, I used to be fat. They called me Bruce. Now I'm fucking bitches in my favorite shoes. I don't know if it's like insane lyricism, but he sets this tone where you just feel stronger or more powerful, or like you can get your money up listening to Rick Ross. And I don't think as many people give off that effect quite like him. And Rick Ross has consistently been doing it for so fucking long that I just feel like at a subconscious level, you hear Maybach music interlaced into a verse and you feel like you have to go make more dollars. And I think that's why maybe he's so effective at that role. But there he is, and then I feel like Busta Rhymes came through and did his version of a Rick Ross verse. That seems to be what everyone does, though, when they have him. They do their version of a Rick Ross verse, the super boss, the flossiness, but like the materialistic, the fantasy. Like, this is my version. And I really do like how Busta Rhymes starts it with, look at my peak, whatever, yo, it's about time. Let's sparkle off my jewelry. It's about that shine. And I like that because it's like I'm wearing this watch to floss is how I took from that. And just the way he made it work and how his shine is just more pristine almost because of it. The money, the everything good here. And then I also like how in the middle of this, Busta Rhymes like starts off trying to floss, and by the end it's just like, yo, everything's kind of fucked up. The industry's fucked up. I have to get more into corporate America in order to give more of my people jobs because they're starving in the situation of the fucking hood economy. But at the same time, being more involved in this is fucked up. And then I have to go make all this music where I bring this whole style to it. And it's like I have to do this maybe at parts of his career as he's expanding. And it has like a consequence, or I'm working in an industry that supports all this negative stereotypes that creates dysfunction. And I feel like Busta's kind of confessing to this like ethical inner conundrum of being part of a system that creates evil while wanting to not like be destructive, but by doing it he helps so many more people. And that was just so interesting. I don't know. And then it's like he's just amazing. He's really good. He's fucking coming through with his honesty, and he's really strong. I don't have more to comment on it. I think we you kind of get the sense of the song it is. Busta Rhymes' flow is ridiculously smooth again. He just kind of does this constant talky, like kiss the ring styled attitude on it. Rick Ross is actually really good on it. I don't know. Maybe the more I hear Rick Ross, the more I like him. Maybe I was just a hater once upon a time and I didn't like him for no good reason. I like this. It sounds like a new age, decent song that would have just come out on any pop thing. Like, it sounds like it was also meant to chart. Like it just sounds like some shit that's going to do well on Billboard when it gets there. I'm going to give it a 4.25. I think it's better than good, but it's not like really amazing. This is the first one on the album. I could see myself actually just actively going, and skipping it half the time I hear it, while recognizing it's just a good vibe that might not be my favorite. It is what it is. Let's move on. We're at the halfway point. Halfway point. Let's talk about YUUUU. I was just like sitting there going, man, I don't listen to a lot of Anderson .Paak, but I know he's extremely talented and I really recognize his style, but I feel like he's got this like jazzy kind of infusion sound going on, and I've come to appreciate and even start to like jazz, but I'm not all the way there yet, so I guess I haven't ventured that deep into his sound. But I was listening to him on this song and I just got converted. First of all, I realized the beat sounds like what I picture Anderson .Paak's supposed to sound like, and then I saw it was produced by him, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. It's such a vibe, though. It's such a vibe. I'm sitting there going, that's it. I get it now. It's such a vibe. You just chill it. You're just like you're lost in it. The way he hits these melodies, the flashiness, the airiness of every single lyric he delivers. Plus, it's almost like mumble rap, but super clear and actually singing and really dope. And I'm like, oh, that's the vibe, but with talent behind it. Not to say that other people don't have talent, but yo, Anderson .Paak brings that. That is like a level where you don't get a lot of dudes like him in a generation of people, is all I'm trying to say. That's a swagger. That's like a whole thing. And it's consistent, right? Because every time I've heard him, it's that level of confidence. And I was just kind of appreciating the vibe of this tune. Lyrically, it's glossy. There's literally almost no bars in here that pop out at me like, oh my gosh, that's the best. No, it's not that kind of song. It's more of a consistent, just like you smile. And again, like, you know how I was saying, you want to go make money on the last track? This one makes me want to just be I'm the shit. I'm just fucking cool listening to this song. And that's the vibe. And then Busta Rhymes does this quick, tricky rhythms on it, aggressive kind of shit. Again, that kind of stuff. I love the part where he's like, you know, if my money ain't what it's supposed to be, that's when a gun start busting, clang, 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 whatever. Just shells hit the floor, more shots coming. That whole part just sounded fresh. It just sounded so alive and dynamic. And that shit's what makes Busta Rhymes special, in my opinion. Busta Rhymes also says he has the best metaphors I ever saw. And look, he's definitively in the top 5 flows I've ever come across of every rapper I've ever heard in my life. His delivery is in the top 5 deliveries of every rapper I've ever heard in my life. I don't know the order yet, but his is there. His abilities are up there. I don't know where on the list. He's not dropping the best metaphors I've ever heard by any means. The album construction is really great, but come on, there's some really amazing metaphors out there, is all I'm trying to say. Like, here's a good metaphor. That wedding song on the first Far Side project that, through the verses of describing a wedding, documents the history of hip-hop and its evolution to date at that point in the mid-90s, is one of the best metaphors I ever saw in a track. Okay, that's what you're up against. Your shit's great, Buster. Okay, I'm nitpicking. Y'all hate when I nitpick. I know, it's fine. That's who I am. It's who the fuck I am. If you're this far into the review, you get it. This song slaps. This is a contender for a song that I would listen to over and over again, and it would turn into a 5. So I'm going to give it a 4.5, because this is one I could really see myself on an easy listening front throw on. Like, it doesn't hit me too hard in the pensives. It doesn't hit me too hard in the have to try or whatever. It's just glossy and it makes me feel like I'm cool. I just want to hear more of it. I like it a lot. Let's move on to the next one though. And y'all might be like, oh no, 9 more of these motherfuckers. And I'm like, yo, this whole track had me being like, yo, just like the whole time. I don't know. This is some new vibes. Like, in terms of the style, I feel like we're tapping into that like modern trap, spooky. It's a little spooky to be fucking vibes. It just hits. And then he does like that triplet flow, like the whole way through the beginning, just kind of hitting it. Like, oh, that's what's trendy. Let me Busta Rhymesify it. And he uncompromisingly does it too. Like, other people might put a little elegance or like a little auto tunes or some shit on it. Nah, Busta Rhymes just raps like he's been rapping on the whole fucking album. Only murks all the other people's flows. And if we speak about flow, can we just talk about how there is no 2 track to track back to back on this project that has like flows that are the same? He's managing to reinvigorate it. And I think I think this transition, because the first half of that album, if this album is very like old schooly kind of whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of knots, there's a lot of production from almost back in the day, and now I'm looking at the producers and I don't recognize half of them, but they're all like newer age. So it's like this second half of the album, because like High Tech was I think was High Tech in the one with Rick Ross. It was like one of those guys like. I'm talking like, the more modern ones. So it's cool that on this almost double album, because I mean, it's pretty fucking long. It could fit on one album, but in the modern era, you could call it a double album. But on the second half, at least, it feels like we're moving into more modern flows where, Busta Rhymes is dropping bars on here. They're very enjoyable. One of the ones I really liked is How I Whack 'em and I Sock 'em Outer Space It with How I Mr. Spock 'em. They caught me a planet fuck it up like Saddam, because Saddam kind of fucked up his place. That's actually a pretty clever political bar is all I'm trying to say. And Batmobile whipping, pulling it up to Gotham. It's just flexing, but with cleverness, and Busta Rhymes murking your flows. It's like Busta Rhymes heard a bunch of recent flows and said, and then heard the beat and said, and just wrecked it. And he did it really well. And that's all I got to say about this one. I like the chorus. Oh, and Waka Flocka is not featured on this song, yet he's there in the sample the way the next dude was. I'm so confused by the inconsistent sampling rules or the features or whatever. But, man, you're not expecting Flocka, Waka Flocka. Like, what? It's so good, though, because the energy of Waka Flocka is dope. I don't care what anyone says. I'm a fan of Waka Flocka Flame. So I think he and Busta Rhymes at the same show would be an amazing time together. Like, I would love to see those two men perform back to back. It would just be good vibes all around. I like this. I think it's fun. I think it shows off the versatility of Busta Rhymes in a profound way, and I'm giving it another 4.5 on 5. And if this part of the review, everything starts going faster, it's because I've almost been sitting in this chair doing this for about 2 hours now, and I know, and whatever you're seeing in the timestamp, that's all the parts of me listening cut out. But yeah, I just want to get through this with y'all. I want to get this video done because the Don and the boss require project time management for efficiency. I'm just gonna say that skit is kind of interesting. Okay, so we have this song where, first of all, Busta Rhymes bust out the patois. Vybz Kartel sounds amazing. The chorus is real earwormy. I'm not gonna try on the lyrics on this. I think I'm just gonna come off goofy. It's just flossy. I like the line though. Put my dick on your lipstick, and haha, she kissed it. That was a great line. I just thought it was like flossy, like as a guy, it just sounds like a good time every time. If it's ever that easy, that's pretty cool. Because he's the boss, and I like how he pulls out Nicki Minaj, and I like how Busta Rhymes flips it to Didon and does like the same chorus, and then brings up Megan Thee Stallion, and I'm like, those ladies must have been really happy to be brought up in this track. I don't know. I mean, they're both women who definitely use their assets to be part of their branding. And so you got like the track where it's like, fuck the hot chick or whatever, right? And then you get the skit, which is almost like, it's almost like a time flip. It's almost like 10 years later. And then you get this like skit that plays out, which is probably how it happens. You see this hot girl, whatever, and then Busta Rhymes is like, yo, I want to get my kid at this time. And then the woman is like, nah, if you're not here in an hour, you don't get to see your son this visit. And even though they have like a prearranged schedule, and she's pulling some shit. And I think it's a really interesting skit because this happens. For everybody out there that's going to hear this and be like, fuck Busta Rhymes, it's not a real thing, there's just a lot of people who are going to be like, I relate to it. Unfortunately, there is this untalked about problem that goes around where I even know dudes who've been victim to it. I know a lot of dudes, even in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, of every skin color, of every social class, that the second divorce kicks in or they're not together anymore. If you're in a place, like Quebec has an official system that's unbiased and an unofficial system that's just as fucked up as everywhere else, right? So the woman gets a lot of power here, and I think it's just kind of trying to point out that this is a problem, and that maybe if you just fuck some chick that looks like that with that ass and you engage in that fantasy, it's like, be prepared that this might be your future that's coming next with this skit. And I don't know that I've ever in my entire history of listening to music heard anybody connect those two ideas quite so like that on a track so strong in a way where it's a harsh juxtaposition, because that track's still a fantasy. You can still throw that track on. You don't have to listen to the skit. But when you hear the skit after, it's just like a reminder of be careful, bro. Just be careful when you're playing with those booties that make you want to do all that thing. Like, make your pull-out game weak. That's some wet-ass pussy. You know what I'm trying to say? So I just thought it was such a fucking interesting tune on that regard. I'm giving this a 4.5. The vibe is amazing. It made me just feel like, okay, I understand strip clubs now. You just have a booty on you with this playing, this fucking a vibe. I'm not really that kind of guy, but you hear tracks here and there. I'm in a red light area. Maybe that's affecting me. I'm trying to fuck with what the lights do. The colors do to me. So let me know if you notice a difference between light color and review quality. Maybe there's a certain color that elicits the best review. This track was great. I'm going to check all the music videos after. Like I said, something like a crazy number of likes, that irrational number I gave, and I'll cover all the videos in a bonus video. Anyway, or Busta Rhymes shows up and asks me to. If Busta Rhymes asks me to, I'll do it. Anyway, I'm just trying to make this as fun as I can for myself, and I'm doing the best I can. This is one of those tracks where, like, it slaps so hard that I feel like a 5 isn't even high enough, because it's also slapping. So, I mean, the quality of the song is pretty substantial. I mean, the second you saw Rapsody, you knew what was going to slap in terms of skill, but we'll get into the topic. But it's just one of those tracks that you don't hear, and you don't hear people in positions of prominence using their platform to convey it. And considering what the subject matter is, you don't hear people do it right. Okay? And I think Busta Rhymes knocked this shit out the park. So this track is the perfect follow-up to that skit where it's kind of discussing the topic of punishing men with how they have access to their kids and the transactional relationship of child support and all of that world, right? And so you have Rapsody playing the role of this woman who, after time has gone on, apologizes for all of the shitty behavior, the manipulations, the causing a scene, all of this shit, and just thanking and appreciating the male figure for not acting away, for, you know, stepping away instead of causing a bigger scene, for having the patience. And I believe this is something that a lot of men go through, because, yo, I see a lot of confessionals on Facebook of men, like, to a point where we're talking, I've probably read hundreds of anecdotal experiences that parallel what it's like to deal with baby mamas that really match up with this story. Is it everyone? No. I'm certain for every man that this song applies to, there's another guy that's a deadbeat bum, but that's not the point. There's a million songs about the deadbeat bum, to the point where you almost don't believe the other side exists. The guy who wants to be actively invested in being a father, the one who shows up and is there and is present, but due to things like being a half an hour late on returning the kid gets punished. Due to things like, oh, you want to see your kid? You better buy me that extra pair of Jordans. Literally, that story specifically comes up so often that it's crazy how there are women that actually treat their men like this. And I really believe that there are, just because, again, anecdotes and stuff in my own life and what I've witnessed. So to hear this side of the fence is really powerful. But then let's look at what Busta Rhymes did with it to go one step further. It isn't a shameful track. First of all, it is, in a sense, an acknowledgement. Everyone is saying this happens, and the woman is thanking the guy for his patience and basically asking for forgiveness for treating it poorly. And the response that Busta Rhymes gives is one of the most mature and empathetic things I've ever heard. A man who is full of rage has, like, put down. It's how to, like, if this is a blueprint on how to adult with conflict resolution. Thank you for making me stronger in situations of adversity, because the patience I had to develop to deal with you made me a better man, is that verse. And you can hear the rage in the line by lines of it, and you can hear him holding back, and just the way that the beat cuts through and samples, like, the vocals on the track, complementing and accentuating it to complete these lines where they're, like, holding back and whatnot. This is a masterpiece. I've heard it one time. It's a masterpiece that gets tarnished by that shitty outro with Mariah Carey showing up. She did not belong here. Just make that the start of the next song. What the fuck? But otherwise, this is brilliant. Who produced this? I didn't even look, man. This is produced by Ninth Wonder. I guess with Rapsody. That makes a lot of sense. Ninth Wonder, it's beautifully done. It is a really excellent composition. Everything about this song is flawless, okay? It is flawless. I'm going to listen to it again and it's going to slap harder. That's why I wanted to go above 5 for this one, because sometimes you just know. Like, this is the song I'm going to show to people to showcase the emotional complexity of Busta Rhymes in one track. Amazing. Like, so far, the coolest and most impressive song I've heard on the project. And let's be real, we are 15 tracks in and I'm not bored. I am excited to get through the rest of this album. I'm antsy because recording these can be some kinds of an antsy experience, but the truth is, it is really where I belong. I don't know what the fuck I just listened to. I'm confused by this song. The beat starts playing, and the rest of the song, I kept fighting the urge to go, baby, if you give it to me, I'll give it to you. You know, like that just, because, they basically sample that. And so I'm just sitting there like, that's playing in my head the whole time. And it was really distracting. It wasn't like helping the song. I'm not a huge fan of the chorus. That might change. It might change. But I feel like the way like he transitions from the verse into that chorus was a little jarring. Was a little hard to get into. Again, maybe it'll grow on me. Maybe this shit isn't for me. It felt like a weird mid-2000s like R&B vibe. Like I was back in high school again, only a lot worse. A lot worse than that. I mean, the rhymes are all fine. Like, in theory, this is just fine. It's just the way the song was put together. Like, the flow of the components of this track together feels jarring and weird to me. But the individual components, like, the chorus by itself is fine. It's really nice. It's cool. They go back and forth, and it's just a lot of fine. I would have preferred it to be just Mariah myself. His verses are cool. Like, he just wants to fuck on the chick and he doesn't understand the emotion at the end and he's overwhelmed by it. I kind of like the back and forth, why are you trying to fight it, baby bit is cool. I really like that. It had a little cinematic edge to it. There's not a lot in these verses for me. It's just like, like, let me just talk about your mental through motions around the world and when it's most essential. Love how you make it work when with the most potential. I hope you never hurt. I hope you see it, baby girl. You're my greatest, like... whatever, like, honestly, this is just the dude spitting game to some shit that's about to blow him is what it sounds like. It just sounds like fluffity McFucking Fluffface, and it's such a weird song following the last two. It's just weird to me. I guess, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it. It feels like they wanted this to be like a huge radio single. Watch, this goes #1 and I'm sitting there like an idiot and everyone's laughing. I don't know. It felt fucking random. Then you get the fast part where he just really goes and he's like, and I come in and I'm gonna for that love and nothing, but I did it wrong. But he's like at that speed. Like, like that really fast cadence shit. I was kind of hoping I could do it right one time, but I just heard it once. I can do his fast shit, but like that was like the fastest, most break your neck level speeds we've gotten out of Busta on this album. And it's in this weird part where Mariah raps that fast and sounds odd. It sounds odd to me. Maybe y'all like it, but when he goes, all the way you be carrying, I want to lift off for you, and all the little that you need, baby, how I got it off for you, and they're saying it together. It just is weird, because Busta's got, like when Busta raps, you can almost picture the voice going in on, like, a sharper edge that, like, slaps in, right? It cuts. Whereas when Mariah sings, it's warmer, and it, like, floats, and it envelops more. And they don't make her cut with him on that rhythm, so it's like he's cutting into this gushy shit. I don't know. It's fucking weird. And then it just ends, and the chorus comes back in, and it's just such a jarring, because it's basically like almost nothing left in the production. It's almost a cappella, this fast part. Like, I don't know. I don't like this one. This one track I'm not really a fan of, to be honest. I'm going to give it a 3.5. I could live without it. It was weird. It is what it is. Y'all can disagree with me. Y'all can like this one. Anyway, these are maybe not the most of the deep thoughts Okay, so that ends like with like the skid of the next track. So I guess that's just kind of how that flows. That's a crazy transition there. Yo, this song is super nifty. I feel like in contrast to like the weird last track of Vapid Sex or whatever, and I guess on the topic of women is what this part of the album is just about. It's been a few tracks in a row now, and we've hit it from multiple fronts. But this was the one that was the most interesting for me to listen to. Okay, obviously not the most interesting. The second most interesting, because I realized, no, that whole child support track was by far way more interesting. But this was cool because it almost shows like a healthy situation. Like Busta Rhymes is like saying, instead of going crazy, like there's like a nugget, like if your dude doesn't want to talk, be understanding that he's working through shit, you know, just be there, just like support him. And it's almost like, well, you wanted to know what's on my mind, and then it's just verbal fucking diarrhea where he's like telling this story, and like half of the track is him describing like him just kind of sitting there and lying his head on his woman's boobie. And I get that, having a woman's boobie to lie your head on and just kind of let your thoughts flow, it is like almost better than sex, because I mean sex is pretty great, but that lying your head on a boobie thing is underrated. And Busta Rhymes knows what's up, man, because sometimes when you on the grind and whatnot, you get very overwhelmed and perplexing, and just having that boobie to lie her head on is real cool. She's going to kill me if she ever sees this part or if she can hear me in the next room. That's fine. Her boobies are lovely. Anyway, I just kind of like laughing at myself as I like rethought what I just said. But I just kind of like the way he then flows into how the game is kind of fucked up and people aren't operating correctly. And when he kind of brings up the truth of a situation, they turn on him. And I find it extra interesting that he got her permission to share the private details of a conversation that he had with her. And that was like the level of respect he has with his missus. And that is a high level of respect. That is a high level of, yo, copy that behavior from Busta. That is some smart fucking shit to do. And I really like that too. So I like the way the song feels, the stream of consciousness flow, and then it just goes all the way through to the end, you know? Just like, yo, I'm sitting in a resort, deep thoughts, this is it. Like, and it's such a different song in terms of structure and tone and intent, but again adds to the cards in the Busta Rhymes toolkit, because it is just one long verse, just painting this picture while also communicating a message that people need to have better fucking business in how they operate in the game. And I feel that. I feel that all the days. I feel like I want to make a video series on how Montreal is doing the same shit Busta Rhymes alludes to without telling me specifically, but he alludes to it enough for me to go, yo, I can relate to that, without him saying a damn thing. That's a really cool track. I'm giving this though a 4.25. It's good. It's not like 100% stellar, but I also feel like the true grade is going to come after I discuss with y'all The Young God Speaks. That's cool. He's sampling Michael Jackson from the track I'll Be There, and it's really a fitting ending to the other song, almost like with the man and a woman, and then even having this next level of family brought in, like almost like when you have that bond with somebody where you can share it, this is like the next logical step. And a little foreshadowing that maybe offspring is a subject that's going to come on the project now, because maybe there's a flow to Busta Rhymes' growth over here. Like, we have some anger and shit. It flows into social political issues. And for the last little bit, it has definitely been a progression of women issues, right? You got like the fucking situation where you meet almost a stripper and then you end up having a kid. This pivots you into finding the right woman, where I guess that's what Mariah Carey's supposed to represent, the right woman, in that really weird track. And then you move into this one where you have the sex side of the right woman, and now you've got the more lovey pillow boobies side of it to like indulge in, and that's really cool. And then what comes next, I guess, is the youth. And so that's an interesting maybe flow that I'm reading too much into, but it sounded beautiful and serene over the exact same beat. I would say that it's hard to rate this by itself. By itself, it's a 4.5. Michael Jackson sounds wonderful, but I mean, it is what it is. It works over the beat that we just heard, and honestly, I don't have a lot more to comment. I think it collectively makes the other track a 4.35 if I put the two of them together. It does increase the grade a little bit. Truly enjoyable experience. Anyway, look over your shoulder is what comes next. You know what I really like about this album is how they clearly intended it for it to be an album experience. And a good example of what I mean is how the beginning of the next track that we're going to talk about with Mary J. Blige, actually starts to build up. You hear the high notes start to kick in and start to pump it up before the track actually switches over, so that you are just like incentivized to keep listening. Like there's that overlap, and there's a few places in the album where they do it, and I definitely like that. I feel like it's a confident move. Like, yo, I don't have to worry. You're just gonna keep listening. Look Over Your Shoulder, which features Kendrick Lamar and has more of that Michael Jackson sample played out. Like they just kept the bars going and then used that almost for the hook of the song. That's really clever. It must have cost a lot of money to have to get Michael Jackson's, like, because they would have had to clear that twice, right? It's not just clearing it once now. You got to clear it for both tracks. So I thought that was like super cool, and I really liked the way they did that. Kendrick was really good. I feel like this is the first time I've heard a Kendrick verse and been like, oh, I'd be down to listen to a new Kendrick album in like a while. Normally, like, when Kendrick features, he doesn't necessarily put in that like album quality Kendrick. But I guess for a legend like Busta Rhymes, you best be bringing your A game or get the fuck up out the fucking room, you know? And I think Kendrick did that. He brought multiple flows and styles. I don't know that there was anything over there that like was simply, wow, remarkable, Kendrick's bars got me. But I felt it was smart. It was well written. It was good. It felt like kind of like we do this for like the culture. Y'all are fake. I don't know. There just wasn't a whole lot in. It's more like his delivery was fun. The way he rapped was fun, but I don't know. This wasn't Pulitzer Prize winning Kendrick to me. This was Kendrick was just kind of rapping. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe y'all disagree with me. Okay, and that's fine. You can let me know in the comments, and I really would love to hear why this would be like a stellar Kendrick verse to you. I feel like Busta Rhymes' verse, on the other hand, was actually really great. It was really enjoyable to listen to. There was a flair to it. I think my favorite part of the verse was just like almost a little bit of a context for where he's been, right? He's going, rappers don't even want to fucking rap with me, you know, because I'm too good. I've just done it all. I'm Busta Rhymes. And I suppose that's a whole perspective that you don't think a lot about, like when you are at GOAT level. And I guess it makes sense where like Eminem is one of the only people I can think of in recent years that really had a high profile, like, you know, feature with Busta Rhymes. Lil Wayne had a feature, Chris Brown, like, we're talking huge fucking names, but other rappers really? I don't know. Just not, I guess rappers have this thing where you can't have a guy better than you on your own song. Fuck that. I'll do a song with you, Busta Bus. You can murk me on my own song any day of the fucking week. But the way he does the fast flow and he picks it up, it was really eloquently done. The kind of shit where he maybe had to lose some pounds to deliver that fucking flow, and he pulled it off eloquently. But the real cool part was, and he's like, focus on what's most essential, spit bars to provoke your mental. He's accomplished that on this album. Do I have your attendimento? And what a way to get your attention by flipping up the language. So beautifully done. I'm going to give this one another 4.5. We get another Chris Rock outro. Fair enough. That's Chris Rock hyping him up. It's what he's doing. I kind of feel like at this part he came back and I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. I don't know what I feel about the Chris Rock parts. Let me know what you think, if Chris Rock is an added value at this part of the album or not. Anyway, did I give it a grade 4.5? I did. You will never find another me either way, like regardless of Busta Bus. I'm going to just say it like this. The Mariah feature is garbage compared to this Mary feature. Like, Mary just like stole the album. Maybe not the album, but wow. Like, she just owned it. The flair, the elegance, the grace, the everything. Like, the queenness of her delivery is just powerful. And just the overall sense of, you know, you'll never find another me, babe, that is demonstrated in her vocal delivery. It's beautiful. She does a verse in the chorus, and then Busta Rhymes comes through and does. Also, the writing's cool. Like, never. Oh yeah, fine. Anyway, Busta Rhymes comes through with his, you know, verses, and it's just really kind of braggadocious and hard hitting, but also flaring on the beat. I'll be real with you. I had a lot of trouble focusing on the bars because the overall sound was enveloping me in like this beautiful soundscape. Like, totally listen to this more than once is what's gonna happen, but. He just sounded strong, and he did like that slow but complicated, tricky flow. Like, it's one of those ones where only Busta Rhymes can just maintain cadences at these erratic spacings the way he does. Like, he just fucks with weird time signatures almost with his voice. It's so cool. I don't know. It's just kind of like about excellence and distinction and being the best. And I think it's conveyed in the arrogance, not arrogance, the sheer confidence that comes out of these legends' voices. Because these are legends we are talking about, right? These are people who have survived decades of excellence inside of the music industry. These are not amateurs. Like, when Bonnie hears Mary's name, she like gets excited. Like she wants to cover tracks that have Mary J. Blige on them, and it's like Mariah was boring, but Mary made this. This is gonna be a 4.75. It's too premature to give it a 5, but it's up there with really amazing like late album holy shit moments. Like this is track 19. I'm again not bored, and I was sitting there still freaking out like, holy shit, this sounds so amazing to me. But on a completely different vibe than anything we've gotten so far on this album. So big respect to Busta Rhymes on the curation front of this track list and order. And turns out we didn't get no kid shit. That didn't happen. We're back onto distinction and legacy. But he ends it saying we're going to go back on that science bar. So I'm going to assume that when we talk about freedom, the topic's going to get serious again. I'm like pretty sure that like last little bit on the song of the rains building in is a build up again to the outro track. I think it's called Satanic, which is another just proof to what I was saying of it meant to be like an album experience by design. This track is really strong. Busta sounds insanely angry and sad in his delivery, like almost like this song feels like it was the one that was like he wrote this when he started this journey of trying to become like a stronger role model or something for this project, because that's what this album feels like. Busta trying to be the role model, like fuck all of y'all, I'm the one that has the answers, let's try things differently. It is a big sense of like I guess where he's coming from. Like he's learned, he knows, and you shouldn't discount what Busta Bus has to say. But it starts off with Nikki Grier singing, and I wanted to point out that when I checked the credits on the last track with Mary's on it, Nikki was the one who wrote Mary's part, and then apparently Nikki had a lot of work behind the scenes, so it's really cool to see her get a chance to sing up on this one. I think she sounds lovely, and I think the chorus is really strong, like eye for an eye, knee for a knee, you declared war because you don't want peace, you just want sheep, we are not asleep, blood on your hands, blood on the streets. And that's really powerful lyrics, right? In the sense of what you're seeing happening play out in the world. A lot of people don't want peace, they want control. And a lot of people don't want to be like fucking subservient anymore. And we're seeing a lot of this play out in the current existence. So Busta's verse just is packed with passion. Like, we are not created equal now. Could give a fuck if I offend a couple people, yo. What the fuck you watching this never in the sequel for? Let me wipe these tears and speak the truth to all my people, oh. And then he just goes on from there, and it's very passionate and it's very strong. Like, he wants to be this role model. Like, you feel this desire to, like, speak truth and to be the strength. Even though he feels hopeless, he has to project the hope so that others can be inspired off of him, and he has to be that like burden, like that burden of strength falls on him, and it's like you feel his pain and everything in the delivery. It's really remarkable. It's really well done. And then the second verse, like, he just kind of goes through and follows up, look at what everyone been through, and he's kind of commenting a bit on the circumstances more. But then I like at the end of the verse more, where in light of all of these dark circumstances, this is inspiration to him to want to become the activist they talk about, and that even Snoop Dogg and others were like, yo, bro, if that's how you feel, that's God telling you to step up and be this person. Don't ignore it. Step up to the mantle, step up to the plate, knock it out the park, and look, we're like one track away from the end of it. This shit's a classic. This shit's fucking fire, okay? I don't know what the final grade is. Fuck it. It's probably a 4.5 because like, I haven't really been paying attention. This is an amazing album, and I think he accomplished the goal he set out to do with it. And I think it's really cool. The number of positive approaches he's taken and different perspectives, like especially like, you know, with like how to like a couple dynamic should look, you know? Like maybe it's not flawless delivery, but I think Busta Rhymes has set out to become that activist and to set up to be a better man and to set a better way. And I really admire and respect what he's done with this project. Again, we have production. Sorry, we had production from, I think it's Knots again. I might be wrong. Yeah, it's Knots, and it's just stellar listening to it. It's just, he's so good. The way he like kind of puts the pieces of the beat together in such a, the rhythm just slaps so different but amazingly at the same time. It's just little subtle shits that I think enhance it and almost complement Busta Rhymes' crazy flows really well. This is a 4.5 for real. It could go higher if I listen to it a few more times, but I don't want to be throwing out fives. It'll take away from the specialness of that other track, what I can't remember the name of right now. Anyway, Satanic is the last track. Chris Rock's a goofball. I like his goofballiness, but Chris Rock's a goofball. That was a goofy outro, but it fits, right? It's just, you can't fuck with him. And it's almost like bad in its delivery, but it's just big dick energy the whole way through that outro. This track is fucking interesting. Almost like Busta Rhymes just like, I'm going to put this all the way at the end. It's just like at the end of the day, if y'all wanted one more proof that the world is ending, let me give it to you. And then he brings it out. And it's, why is everyone worshiping the fucking devil these days? And there really is a lot of devil worshiping out there. Like, it's cool to rap about 666. Like, horrorcore was more of a satirical protest than, like, a glorification of Satan when you, like, look into the history of it. So I can kind of see where Busta Rhymes is coming from. It points out people worshiping the devil and shit, and, like, at first we seen it subtle, now people display it major and going out like they was doing Satan a favor and gamble with their life, rattling dice in a shaker, another life forsaken, turning your back on your maker. A little bit later on, like, making deals with the devil just so you can sound nice. And then I feel like the term devil is interchangeably used between Satan and white man, honky, systemic oppressor. And I like that, like, little flip there. I really also, there's a line, like, deeper into the track. I'm just scanning for it. When he's, I know it's getting cold and you're fighting the war, internal body decaying, turning out gray and blue, even purple. You portray a lot of shit with no rehearsal, but in life we don't rehearse. What you can do come back and hurt you. And I think that's really interesting because it's like, look, life isn't does not give you the opportunities to rehearse. And there isn't really rehearsals. You can't really think about it. So as you move about your operations and you're doing the different things you do, you have to keep in mind that the energy and the actions you put out into the world may bite you back. So if you're willing to compromise your soul and your integrity or sell your soul to the devil for the sake of a rap career, or like, yo, there is some whack shit that there's a lot of people pushing a lot of pills through music and stuff, and a lot of people take the deals for the money. Like, it's whack. There's a lot of negative messages put through. Like, at the end of the day, people have to know that it's not a positive output to be telling people to spend exorbitant amounts of money on fashion brands they can't afford. Yet rappers do that shit. Some of them do it in a position where it's like, if you work hard, you'll get this. Some of them are like, you ain't shit without it. Like, I mean, there's certain toxic mentalities that I think are put out into the world. That's just one specific example where maybe the whole world can have their opinion on it. But to me, it's just, that's a toxic side of what pop hip-hop has put into the world. And I think that a lot of rappers, I mean, the song just hits, like, on a literal sense of the devil shit that you see, but also on the other side, where if you take it as a double entendre for Christianity, but also a willingness to work with white people and sell out your community, it really works as a fucking flawless double entendre. And that really makes it brilliant. I'm going to give it a 4.75 because it's a hell of a way to close the album. Without Chris Rock, it'd probably be a 5 on 5. It's really strong. His delivery is almost like he had to get this off his chest. It's just another long verse. Busta Rhymes slays this album. I guess that's it. We're at the end. We're at the end of this little journey through Extinction Level Event to the Wrath of God. Yes, I did have to just look to verify the album title. I love this album. I believe Busta Rhymes talked some shit about having some throwback vibes and delivering a modern classic in 2020 like the old men be doing this year. And I think the old man came through and did the old man thing right and won. And I say that because you're supposed to be better with your experience and your knowledge. You're supposed to be able to come through and do it. It's weird that everyone thinks this has to just be a young man's game. Busta Rhymes, amongst others this year, have proven to me that the wisdom and experience of knowledge and the power to lead is something worth making an album around that we can all go to and listen to. There are tracks on this that can inspire other people to be better, to look at things through different circumstances. This is a powerful art piece. I think it does a lot to talk about the current state of affairs in the world with a almost warning that if we don't treat each other smarter and better and acknowledge certain things, we're going to have some problems down the line, almost like the end of the world. And I really appreciated it. From the callback to the first album with the way the introduction happened, to the fact that for the most part he stayed on theme, to the fact that 22 tracks into this project, I'm excited. I'm still excited. I want to go listen to it again. I spent 3 hours with this album now from the raw recording perspective, listening to it, talking about it. And I just want to go and listen to it one more time because it's so amazing. It's so well put together. Like, if the point of this new format is for me to bump an album one time and tell you what I think of it, fucking ecstatic. Well done, Busta Rhymes. From the complexity and versatility of the flows across each track, from the fact that the subject matter doesn't actually get boring or redundant. It's not like you ever really hit a part where you're like, fuck Busta, switch it up. Then nothing happens like that. The only thing I would wish didn't exist is Mariah Carey's entire presence on the album. Just cut that track and I think it's like a fucking better masterpiece. That's just my 2 cents. Otherwise, everything about this album is amazing. I just discovered who Knots was when we did the Raw Digger review, and I had never known who he was. I was in this Zoom call with the End of the Week Quebec crew, and I heard some Knots beats that were like new that no one else had heard. And then coming across him on this album was also just this crazy experience because, like, I guess the more you know about something, the more you can like it, and recognizing how cool he was, I just added to my experience. Like, wow, there's just so many elements of people of greatness that like came from this project. Everything but the cover, I think, is pretty fucking stellar. The cover I could live without. It's fine. I don't know what else to say. I'm really into this project and I'm gonna recommend it, and it's gonna be brought up in my album of the year video, I bet. Whatever that ends up being like. All right, so that's what's up, everybody. This was my album review for Busta Rhymes' Extinction Level Event 2, The Wrath of God album review, whatever. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you thought, what you think about this project. Do you think Busta Rhymes lived up to it? How you think about it in regards to the sequel? A few days after this video is out, you will see our review for Extinction Level Event 1. So let us know what you think about that. Subscribe to the channel and watch for it. Hit that like button. And special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black Hurricane, Linda Williams, and Scribble. They're dope. They support what we do. If you want to help us out, help us grow, go ahead and check the links in the descriptions. You'll see that. And links to my music, because I dropped some stuff recently, and I would love to hear what you think about all of that. On that note, everyone, it's been a blast. Live long and prosper, everyone.